Like order.
Don't be shy, just ask.
Hi everybody. So today I'm going to talk about a subject that I've gotten so many requests about. Now I am not a professional trainer, that is, or bird psychologist or anything, but this is my personal experience, my personal opinions, and my personal observations. So the question is, how do I stop my bird from biting? I know. I get so many of these questions, so I figured I'm just gonna dive into some extensive research about this subject and intertwine my personal knowledge about it. As you guys know, if you follow me, hello. If you follow me, I have 3 large parrots. I have this guy. His name is Zero. He's 19 years old. He's a scarlet macaw. I have a 6-year-old Malaccan cockatoo, which is one of the largest of the cockatoos, of the white ones anyway. And then I have a Timneh African Grey. She's almost 2. I've had her since a baby. So those other 2 are adopted, so they're damaged goods, unfortunately. And this one has been pretty good. The only thing is with him, he's a scarlet macaw and they're very well known for nipping, like being very nippy. That doesn't mean he's aggressive or mean or anything. They just nip. They like to nip, and hence my arm usually looks like this. But I don't consider this a bite. These are love nibbles. The first thing I would like to address, that yes, it hurts when you get bit. But to me, it's more the emotional pain that I have when one of these guys bite me, because I love them so much. I give them everything I have. They are my family. They are my children. And then they bite me. And that is just like, it hurts my heart. But you can't let that be how you feel. They are still birds and they express their feelings through their beaks, and that's just how it is. So I ask myself, why do birds bite? Why do you bite? So in my research, I found out, most of the things I already knew, that in the wild, a bird, parrot, whatever, will avoid fighting, especially biting, because an injury in the wild can mean death. I mean, if they get bit in the beak to where they can't eat, or if they get bit in the wing where they can't fly, or maybe bit in the foot and they can't perch, and so on. You get the drift, right? So in the wild, they avoid fighting or biting. The only time in the wild that they will fight or bite you is when they feel threatened for their life. So if like a predator bird is trying to catch them, for example, no, you may not. No, you may not. No. If they are trying to get to their nest, so they're defending their nest. Birds' beaks, if you look at it, is a very prone, very dominant feature on their body. Yeah, right? So this beak is not just a mouth. It's a foot and a hand and a climbing tool. You eat with it, you preen yourself with it. So the beak is very important. They have a lot of nerve sensors in their beaks. A lot of people think it's just a hard something, but they can feel, and if I pet on the beak, they can feel that. So birds, they play, they eat, they defend themselves, they communicate, right? You talk with your beak. So the beak is very important. Now, if you compare that to a caged bird who probably his whole life never had those instances where you can just fly away if there's a confrontation, they are in a cage a lot of times. You reach in with your hand, here comes this huge hand. They are scared or angry that you are trying to take them and grab them against their will, because you should never force.
Hello?
Yeah, right? You shouldn't. Hello? Duh. Hello? Yeah, you should never force them to do whatever that you're asking them to do. Birds don't want to do anything that they're being forced. Yeah. So they will resort to biting. Okay. It is very possible that the biting is a learned behavior, which means when you put in your hand and then to try to see if they step up and they bite or lunge at your hand, and immediately your hand goes back, the bird is learning, saying, oh, see? So if I don't want them to touch me, all I have to do is lunge at them or pretend to bite or actually bite, and they leave me alone. So it's a learned behavior. So for you to learn or to teach yourself to not do that anymore, when they lunge, you have to ignore the lunge. I know, it's hard. It's scary. You have to ignore the bite. Don't react to the bite. And you don't stop what you're doing because of the lunging and the biting. So that, because then the bird learns, if they bite, you're gonna stop. I'm not talking about being aggressive or forceful. I'm just saying if you say step up and they lunge at you, then you pull back your hand for a second and then you go back in and you say step up. He's already up. He's already on my arm. So he's like, well, what do you mean? What do you want? I'm already on your arm. Huh? Up? You want to go up? You always ask. Hi, Rick. You want to step up? Aw, thank you. I've had him for about 5 months, so we're still learning. This is a process that takes a very long time. A lot of people ask me, how long does it take? I've had my bird 5 days and he's still not doing this. Guys, 5 days. That's nothing. 5 months here. I have had him 5 months and I'm still learning, and he's still, every once in a while, like I said, I get a nip. And so here we go. All right, so here are some tips that you can follow or listen to, and to maybe help you for your bird to stop biting. This here is Cyril, and I've had him 5 months. So we are still in the bonding phase. He's 19 years old, so he's been with somebody else for 18 years. So he's still getting to know me, and I'm getting to know him. So bonding is the most important thing you have to do when you first get a bird. If you have not bonded yet, and then you try to force training on them or certain procedures or certain commands, and you kind of force it on, you will ruin that bond. And unless you continue to try to establish that bond, that bird will never really trust you, and more likely than not bite you. So you can, you can very fast ruin that trust too. So it's a very delicate situation. Okay, so bonding, in my humble opinion, is the most important thing you have to do with a bird. Okay, so Cyril here, like I said, I've had him for 5 months. He's had some issues, as you can see. You saw how he was startled by the hand. I don't know why he's so startled by the hand, but he's 18 years, he was somewhere else. So Cyril here, I don't know if you can see, he has some plucking issues. So he likes to over-preen. He doesn't pull it out, but he over-preens his chest and under his wings and by his legs. So I try to keep him bonded with me all day. We're out, we're hanging out. He's either on his tree or on me. So bonding means take him everywhere you go. I mean, I do the dishes with Olivia, or fold the clothes. I take him when I'm sweeping the floor. I'll take him outside if I'm watering the plants, and so on. You get the drift, right? So take them with you everywhere, whatever you do. When you're cooking in the kitchen, Milo is a big helper. He sits on the island with me, and he just hangs out and screams because that's what he likes to do. Play with them, keep them engaged, keep them busy. Keep that mind busy, because if that is an idle mind, he will start getting resentful, start getting angry at you because you're not spending time with them, and so on. So play with your birds. Even just sit like I am doing right now. Just sit with him and just talk, have a conversation. Even if you just sit and like, you're on your phone doing whatever, but he's sitting with you. He's getting shoulder time or arm time, right? That's all you guys want. That's all you guys want. You want to be, they're social animals, very social. So I'm the flock. you know, and they want to be with their flock. So again, number 2, things that you have to remember, I'm just reiterating, is that you have to make sure that you understand the difference between natural behavior and caged bird behavior. So in nature, it is the normal behavior is that your bird will take flight, fly away, jump away, avoid any confrontation unless they feel threatened for their life. They are, yes, right? They are defending their nest, their babies, or they're defending, they're defending maybe a big food source that they have just found and they're starving or something. And of course, hormone season sometimes makes these little guys a little loopy, right? So those are the reasons in nature for a bird that maybe they would bite, but it's very rare and very seldom that a bird will actually bite. They might beak at the bird, they might display, like saying, I'm angry, back off, I'm gonna bite, but usually it doesn't actually end up in a bite. Now, verse that with the bird that's in a cage, like I said before, it is a bird that has learned this behavior from you, that biting is something that you do if you want to be left alone, because they are usually in a cage. And I see, unfortunately, so many things where they're in a small cage, with one perch, no toys, and it gets me emotional because I think that is the saddest thing ever. If I had to spend my whole life in, let's say, this chair, and this is a comfy chair with a cushion, but I can't really move, and this is the only place. Anyway, I digress. It just makes me very angry and upset when I see it, because then don't get a bird if that's how you want to keep it. My cockatoo, he's very territorial over his cage. He's cage aggressive. So I try to do anything that I do with him away from the cage. So when I'm trying to clean the cage and so on, just because there is a chance he might want to bite me, just because he's trying to defend his safe space. Okay, number 3 is how to read their body language. Guys, they give you so many hints and they give you so many signs. I mean, yes, I get nipped, but that's because there was no sign to it. I mean, 90% of the time there's a sign, and then 10% they'll just nip because he's a species that just likes to nip. And look at his beak; it's very pointy. So all he does is a little pinch, leaves a mark on me. So it's not like it's not like he's biting me. He's just pinching me. But so the body language is very important. So he's like super relaxed right now. He's alert, but he's super relaxed. His feathers are normal on his body. He doesn't have raised feathers or anything. So he's pretty relaxed. So for body language, I'm gonna take out Milo because he's a little more expressive when it comes to body language. So I'm gonna put you on your tree, okay, buddy? And I'll be right back, you guys. All right, so here we have Milo. He's my Moroccan cockatoo. He's 6 years old, and he's much more expressive when it comes to body language. The only thing he doesn't have is the pinning of the pupils, because as you can see, his eyes are black, and so you can't see that. So I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna tell you, he's probably not gonna show me, because he's a sweetheart. Okay, so he's a hisser. So with him, one of the body language signs is hissing. With him, you have to know your bird, and he will hiss even though he's not aggressive. Okay, the first sign that your bird is probably aggressive and about to bite you is an open beak. Open beak meaning looking up at you going, if the bird is scared, you will see, see how he's relaxed, his feathers are nice. But if he was scared, he would have his feathers super tight to his body, like really super slick to his body, and he would make himself small. That's a scared bird, and a scared bird will bite too. Then we have the pinning of the eyes. So a lot of birds have light around their eyes, pupils, the irises are light, and you will see the kind of like a zoom on the camera. It goes in, out, zzz, 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 zzz. That is usually a sign that they're overexcited, and then if they're pinning, which means that their pupil gets super small, that's when they're angry, and you need to like be careful and step back. So next, if you have a bird, like the macaws, they will get a red face when they're upset or angry. And that kind of like when we turn red when we're upset about something, they do it. So it's called flushing of the face. So their face actually turns red or pink. Hissing, like you can hear, you've been hearing him hissing. Again, he's just a hisser. That doesn't really mean anything. He's a little excited, but he's not excited in a way that he's gonna bite me. I know my bird by now, but he's just hey. So he's just a hisser. He hisses, but hissing normally, oh yeah, or growling in a bird is it's a good sign that that bird might be angry. So when a bird where are you going? So when a bird is angry, so this shows that that's a good example. He's a little agitated. Buddy, what? Huh? Why? Why are you agitated? Why are you upset? Huh? But he's also just being a cockatoo. So a lot of birds that are angry will ruffle their feathers around their head area or their whole body, make themselves super fluffy to look bigger and more intimidating. And if they have a crown or a crest like these guys, they will stand up their crests to look imposing and big. Swaying back and forth is also a sign. He'll be, like, especially for him, he'll be screaming and he'll be sitting there and swaying back and forth and kind of have that like come at me bro kind of attitude. So swaying back and forth is a sign. Also opening the wings and doing this little head bob like that is trying to be imposing. And then also they have, like some birds, most birds have this really specific screech. It's an angry bird. Read the body language. Angry. Okay, number 4. You must understand that most likely you taught your bird this bad behavior, and it is up to you to retrain that bird, and don't blame him. Right? Because it is not your fault. You did not know. You did not know. The former owner maybe did it, or you did it subconsciously, or me. I've made mistakes, many mistakes. I'm sure, some of you guys will point out some of the mistakes I'm making. You might not even know that you're doing it. It's something that you're doing subconsciously, or don't see anything wrong with it. For example, if you are playing with the bird and he's displaying angry signs of anger, and you think it's funny, and you're like, ha ha ha, poking the bear, poking, even though he's showing you, stop it, I don't want it, but you keep poking at him and think it's funny, and then you keep doing it all the time because it's like a game to you, but it's not to him, and then eventually they'll bite, right? So find out what it is you're doing right before it bites you, or right before it has like a super angry display. Figure out what it is you're doing, and then just stop doing it. Obviously, just stop doing it, or remove whatever it is. It could be something that's in the cage, it could be something that's outside of the cage, it could be a certain song you're playing that they don't like. I mean, having a bird is a lot of work. It is. They have very, very sensitive little beings, right? For example, I learned that Zero, my macaw that I just had, does not like soda cans or remote controls. As soon as I have one in my hand and he's sitting on my shoulder or arm, and I'm trying to take a sip of the soda, he attacks the can and tries to bite my hand. I don't know what that means. It could mean anything. It could mean that they used to throw cans at his cage, or I doubt that, but it could mean, who knows? It could mean anything. But those two things, cans of soda and remote controls, he will attack and bite. Number 5, don't ever force your bird to do anything. If you force them to do something, they will bite. A bird will not do what they don't want to do. And if they do it, it's because you force them. You are not going to achieve a bond with your bird. You will achieve either for them to be scared or hate you or don't like you. And that's why they will bite you. So there won't be a bond, a loving bond between you and your bird, because you have broken that bond by forcing them, by making them do something they don't want to do. Okay? Or if you just go, like I said, if you go into the cage and just grab them against their will and so on. I know sometimes you just want them to step up, and I've had friends and people telling me it's been 6 months and the bird won't step up. That bird has to step up by itself, and not you making the bird do it. These beautiful creatures deserve respect. You need to treat them with love, and you need them to treat like they're your family member, like they're your friend. And certain things you wouldn't do to your family member, just don't do that to them either. So when you go and adopt a bird, please be certain that everything they do is something that you can handle. They will scream, they will bite, they will make a big mess. They are expensive because they need a good cage. They need a good cage, which brings me to point 6, my next point. Okay, make sure that you supply this bird, this baby, with an environment where he can be happy, and if he's happy, he will be good to you. Happy means he has a good cage, big cage, toys, which means he's engaged, his mind is busy, his beak is busy, just like he would be in the wild. In the wild, he'd be climbing around trees, nibbling on branches and leaves and trying to find bugs and whatnot, right? Don't think of your bird as an object and want them to be submissive to you. If they are submissive to you, that's most likely because you have bullied them into being submissive. You forced them to be scared of you or submit to whatever you're asking them and forcing them to do. So it needs a lot of patience. It can take a year. I mean, I've had him for 2 years, and it took about a year for him to step up onto me and not try to bite my hand immediately when he would come on. And yeah, so now, and he's still hissing. I mean, that's just something he does. He hisses. You are their world. You have to remember that. You are their world. They have nobody else, only you, especially if it's an only bird. So for you to give up on them or just leave them in their cage is a very cruel thing to do. Can you imagine having to spend 40 years in a cage, not being loved, never touched, and just given like really poor nutrition? You know, it's just a very, very sad thing that some people do. So a very good environment is a good cage, good toys, purchase, good food, right? Very healthy food, fresh food. I have plenty of videos that teach you how to get your bird to eat fresh vegetables and fruits, because that is so important. Also, you know, outside time, shoulder time, pet time, talking, just sitting and communicating. And sometimes it's just sit there and you just sit and talk. They want to be engaged. They want to be with you and not in the cage. And sometimes they just want a little cage time, but most of the time they want to be with you, right? Most of the time they just want to be with you. So make sure positive reinforcement, never punishment. Birds don't understand punishment. They will learn that the punishment is some behavior that deserves a bite. Now, I hope that this helped you just a little bit to understand where the bite comes from, to stop what you're doing so the bite won't even happen. So what to do if your bird bites? What do you do? Everybody says something different. It's never the same. Everybody tells you, do this, do this, do this. Blow in their face, smack on their beak, put them in timeout, and scream at them. So everybody says something different. So for what has worked for me is when the bite happens, the reaction. So when the bite happens, the reaction is that you want to pull back and you want to scream and make a big deal about it and be angry and huff and puff. And the opposite is what you have to do. Absolutely no sound, almost lean into the bite, and absolutely no reaction. You can't not scream, don't be like stomping your feet, nothing. That is what you need to do, because then he will learn, oh wow, I bit, but there was no reaction, so whatever I'm doing, I'm biting, it's not working, so I don't need to bite. Okay, so that's so important not to do that. And believe me, it is not easy. You see this big giant beak right here. You see this. You see how much damage, and especially the cockatoos, they have a special beak that has like two little sharp points right here on the bottom of on the lower mandible. Whew, I'm telling you, ow, it hurts. But you can't, the thing you can't do, what I do, is when I do get bit, I will take them, I'll have a firm no bite, not scream, just a no bite, and I put him in the cage. Now he has bitten me and I've taken him away from the fun thing he likes to do. Like, for example, right now we're outside, he likes being outside, and if he bites me, I will take away that fun from him by removing him from the fun area and not just leaving him there, telling him why, because I'm telling him no bite, and then I'm putting him away back into, it doesn't have to be into his cage, could be on his cage or somewhere else where I put him, like on a tree, a less fun part of the house that you normally put him. You don't want to really make the cage the punishment area, because it is a safe space and some birds would prefer to go back to the cage. So again, you have to be careful, because then it becomes a learned behavior again. So again, like I told you, it's very delicate. So then you remove him somewhere else. Put him on a branch. Put him somewhere else where he doesn't necessarily likes to do it to be most favorable. Be very consistent. So if your bird bites you, always say no bite. Take him, put him back wherever you want to put him. Take him away from the fun situation he's in, and be consistent, because then he learns. Oh wow, wait! Every time I bite, this is going to happen to me, and I don't like this. I want to stay here. I'm having fun. I'm outside. I'm in the sun or whatever. I'm playing. I was playing, and now I can't play anymore because I bit. Understand? I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say. Make sure you check, like if your bird bites, there could be other reasons why he bites. There could be something in his environment that is scaring him. Like, check his cage. Make sure that there isn't something that scares him, that he's afraid of. Make sure that he has plenty of food and water, so he feels calm and not anxiety because he's hungry or has no water. Don't house him with other birds if they don't get along. That creates a lot of anxiety. Come here, my love. Okay, come here. Check, make sure that you know that he's not sick. I mean, a sick bird might bite you too. I mean, if you don't feel good and you're being forced to do something you don't want to do, you're gonna bite, right? So he could be sick. That could be a reason. Make sure they get enough sleep. These birds need 12 hours of sleep. I know, and I hear these people saying that their bird is up with them until 11, at night, and then you get up at 5 in the morning. No, they need good 12 hours. Okay, so all in all, to wrap this whole thing up and maybe give you little bullet points, because it was a lot of information, I'm sorry, but I really dove into this subject because it is very important, near and dear to me, and very important. I want to make sure that a lot of people understand that, because a lot of birds, they bite and then they get rejected by their owners. They get rehomed, they get ignored, they get put in the cage, and this one bites, so I don't want him now. And so you have to understand the reason why they bite. And it's hard. It's not easy, believe me. But that's what makes it so special, that once the bond is formed. So bond is important. You gotta form a bond. And that can take months, sometimes a year or long. Never forced to do anything. And I know it's tempting sometimes. Like if I need to go somewhere and he needs to go back in his cage and he doesn't want to, I'm like, make sure they have enough sleep, good food, fresh water. Most importantly though, make sure you understand what you are doing wrong to make your bird bite. Okay, so there's something you are doing that makes your bird unsure, feel unsafe, angry, have anxiety, and so on. So thank you for watching my video. I hope it was informative. I hope you got a little bit information out of it and it helped you a little bit and you can apply it with your bird. And I hope it works for you. You can always ask me questions in the comment. Please join my Facebook group called We Love Parrots, number 2. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.